What's up, guys? Ian here, coach of your Ladner Lanturn, bringing you guys our Week 10 Team Builder for NCL, taking on Stu and the Toronto Trevenants. He's right behind me in the standings, although right behind, not exactly right behind, but one win away. We are currently sitting in sixth seed, I believe, right now, sixth or seventh. And Stu is 14th, I think. So there's a lot of room to maneuver around there. So this is pretty much a must-win. I'm not going to lie. This would be a very, very important win if we got this. This would probably secure our playoffs if we do win this. So I'm hoping that that is going to be the case, but you never know because this matchup is terrible. So his team consists of Excadrill, Mandibuzz, Haxorus, Gigalith, Quillfish, Primeape, Mega Alakazam, Clefable, Virizion, Chandelure, and Swellow. His priority options are Haxorus with First Impression and Quillfish with Aqua Jet. Hazard setting, he's got the Excadrill with rocks, Gigalith with rocks, Quillfish with spikes, Toxic Spikes, and Clefable with rocks. And his removal options are the Excadrill with Rapid Spin, Mandibuzz with Defog, and Swellow with Defog. And his 4x weakness is Virizion to Flying. I'm expecting everything but Quillfish and Primeape to show up. I don't think Primeape makes any sense against my team whatsoever. It loses to almost all of my offense. It cannot break any of my walls. I don't have any Intimidate Mons to proc Defiant on it, so yeah, there's a pretty low chance I think that Primeape actually shows in this matchup. And then Quillfish also loses to all of my offense, so it would be kind of a weird bring, even though it's an Intimidate Mon, especially when Intimidate doesn't work on Inner Focus anymore, so Mega Gallade is immune to it anyways, so I don't think Quillfish will come. I think Clefable, Mandibuzz, Mega Alakazam, Excadrill, Gigalith, and then one of Haxorus or Swellow. Or sorry, not Haxorus or Swellow, Chandelure or Swellow makes the most sense to me, although it could be Haxorus as well. Or Virizion, because Virizion is a nicer way to break through my Suicune. He did drop his Heliolisk, which is like the perfect Suicune check, so Virizion or Swellow both make a lot of sense for that. It would be Special Swellow if it comes. So Mega Alakazam is really broken. Clefable's the kill leader on his team. Sand, I always have problems with, and Mandibuzz looks like it's going to be a challenge to break down. So what do you do in a matchup that looks terrible for you? You build hyper offense. So let's start. I do have some defensive mons, of course, but I've adjusted this build a few times to sort of make it a little bit better for me. We were originally going to play Wednesday, and then we pushed it back to Sunday, which I'm very thankful for because I was not prepared to play this on Wednesday. Just mentally, I was so out of it. But first up is Klefki with Foul Play, Magnet Rise, Spikes, and Dazzling Gleam. So this should be able to take on most Excadrill spreads with Foul Play. Especially with Magnet Rise. Get the Prankster Magnet Rise off on fairly obvious Earthquake, although I think that he's smart enough that he would just Iron Head right off the bat. Luckily, I'm physically defensive, so I should be able to take that and then Foul Play it back. Spikes are actually fairly effective against this team. You know, they're not going to hamper the Mandibuzz at all, but Spikes will wear down quite a lot of this team. I'd be happy to have Spikes up in this game, although I'm not going to cry if I don't get them up. I'd much rather have Rocks up. But Spikes are a bit more effective against Excadrill, which is a 4x Rocks resist. So it takes like 2% or something, or 3% from Rocks every time it switches in, which is absolutely nothing, but it would still take 12 from Spikes, which puts it in range of some more stuff later. And then Gleam is really only there to hit the Mandibuzz and the Haxorus, because this can definitely be a Haxorus check as well. Physically defensive, that's about it. Zapdos, I'm also running physically defensive Zapdos rather than specially defensive Zapdos because I still cannot take hits, so just having another check to the Excadrill and the Haxorus and whatnot is great. I'm pretty much going to have to sack something to something like a Swellow or a Chandelure every time because my team just cannot handle them specially defensively. I actually have 0 things that get two-shot by, that don't get two-shot by Boom Burst, besides AV Kecleon, which can switch in 1 time. So it's not really worth my time to do that, in all honesty. So I'm just gonna avoid it and play more offensive. It's gonna be a shorter game, that's for sure. Toxic Discharge, Heatwave Roost. I actually had a different Zapdos set that I'm not going to talk about because if I play Stu in playoffs, I might switch to that Zapdos set. But this should be reasonably effective. Toxic will wear down a lot of the mons on this team. Discharge is more effective against Mandibuzz. This is a really easy switch into Mandibuzz. I do want to be static, actually. a really easy switch into the Mana Buzz with Static, because I'll punish foul plays with, it does make contact, so I'll punish foul play and maybe paralyze it, but Toxic would also be ideal. Heat Wave is there for the extra drill primarily, and then Roost to heal back up with Heavy Duty Boots, because I do anticipate Rocks to be up on my side of the field. Salazzle. Maybe I should be running Boots on Salazzle as well. There we go. No, actually, I do want to be Black Sludge, because if I'm Heavy Duty Boots with Toxic Spikes, I can't absorb those. So, Sludge Wave, Toxic, Overheat, and Encore. Sludge Wave is pretty effective against most things. This is definitely going to be my best way to kill the Clefable. Fire, I don't have Fire Blast. I've got Overheat instead because it's more accurate than Fire Blast. It's going to be bad against the Chandelure regardless. So if the Chandelure is the one switching in, you know, I can spam Toxic all of the time because of Corrosion. So that's going to be my best bet there, as Chandelure is a pretty free switch in. It does resist poison, and it's immune to fire potentially, so don't really want to be hitting that with a fire move, because then I probably just lose if it's Scarfed. Scarf Fire Blast with a Flash Fire Boost would probably just end the game. I'm outspeeding Virizion with this, and so I should be able to OHKO that with Overheat or Sludge Wave. Shaman, I'm running a really offensive Shaman with Life Orb, Earth Power, Dazzling Gleam, Seed Flare, and Rest. Shaman's been really great for me all season, and this set actually goes pretty ham. It goes really ham against most of the team. Seed Flare is just really effective. I've got Earth Power on there to hit Chandelure, as well as being a better way to hit the Excadrill and the Qwilfish than Seed Flare missing, potentially. And then I've got Dazzling Gleam there for the Mandibuzz and the Haxorus and the Virizion. It'll hit all of them, rather than like an Air Slash that would only hit the Virizion super effectively. Dazzling Gleam is just going to be a little bit better. Squeeze me. And then Rest. I don't need like a Chesto Berry or anything because I have Natural Cure. So Rest can heal me up after taking a bunch of Life Orb Recoil and get back in the battle. This is a phenomenal breaker against this team, and I might just lead it depending on if I see Swellow or not, because I think that in that, if I don't see Swellow, I think Gigalith or Clefable are likely leads, and so I can just stay in with Shaman and bop them, or Mega Alakazam, which won't OHKO me, and I can OHKO it back with Life Orb Seed Flare. So that is the Shaman set there. I'm outspeeding Haxorus. Garchomp is also outspeeding Haxorus, and I'm running Roselia Berry with Rocks, SD, Dragon Claw, Earthquake with Sand Veil because he's bringing sand. This is going to be pretty solid here. You know, I can dodge some attacks with Sand Veil hopefully, and this combination of Dual Stab hits everything about as hard as I would want it to. It's going to be reasonably difficult to set up a Swords Dance on something, and if Mega Alakazam traces Sand Veil, that could go very poorly for me. But outside of that, I think I'm a little bit okay. I've got Roselia Berry here for potential Dazzling Gleam, Mega Alakazam, as well as just tanking a Moonblast from the Clefable, and being able to SD on that and then Earthquake it. So I'm really hoping it's not Unaware. I rambled for a little bit in my front office about what ability this Clefable could be. I could see it being either. There's a lot of setup spam on my team that he could want to be Unaware for, but Magic Guard Clef also goes kind of ham against me, especially when I have a Salazzle. That's like guaranteed to Toxic it, so I'm a little bit concerned about what Clefable it's going to be, and so I'm really hoping that it's not Unaware, and I would hope that it's Magic Guard, I think, because that would just be a little bit easier for me to break through, but that is the gist of the Garchomp there. And then last but not least is Shark. Bring Life Orb mixed Shark with Poison Jab just for the Clefable, Hydro Pump and Dark Pulse, and then Protect. I'm running a Timid set, so Dark Pulse should two-shot most of this team. Poison Jab actually is also there for the Virizion if that is going to be the switch-in, but once I get some speed boosts up, I'll be in a good spot. I'll need 2 speed boosts to outspeed the Excadrill, and Hydro Pump will definitely OHKO that in like all of the time. I think Special Shark is better here for sure than Physical Shark, because the Mandibuzz is already going to be physically defensive for things like Garchomp and Mega Glade and whatnot, and so having Special Shark will just be able to break through that a little bit easier. This does mean that my only physical attacker is Garchomp, but I think that's okay. You know, there are a couple Calm Mind users on this team, but they're also they kind of just get OHKO'd by Chomp. Like, Mega Alakazam definitely gets OHKO'd by Chomp. Although it could be running a more defensive set, Barrier is banned because it was a deleted move. So he's not going to be able to run Barrier, and it can already run Modest against me. I'm pretty terrified of the special attackers on this team, if I'm being honest. Like, Mega Alakazam, Swellow, and Chandelure are just really effective at killing me, and so I'm not really expecting to win, but I'm hoping that I can pull at least as much differential out of this as I possibly can. It's super important that I can pull differential out of this. Primeape is what I'm speed tying with Sharpedo, by the way, and that is pretty much the team. In terms of what I'm not bringing, Suicune, wanted to bring it, not bringing it. Avalugg, it's kind of okay. Again, it's another one of those auto-lose to special attackers. Kecleon, originally I had on the build. Mega Glade I also wanted to bring, and Rotom I also wanted to bring. But there's some weird stuff with Rotom that I don't want to get into. Pardon me for the yawn, the usual. Important to note, I have an FF win in Week 11 over Kate, so you guys will see Week 10 go up, and then Week 12 will go up the following week, and Week 11 will just be skipped. Keep in mind that's because I got an FF win in Week 11, which is why this win would be so important, because technically I'm 6-4 plus 10 going into Week 12. So if I can win this one and hit 7 wins as of Week 11, that would be a clinch. 7 wins in Week 11. Actually, it won't be a clinch yet, but it should be a clinch. And that's why this game is super important. Also because Stu is trying to get into playoffs, and so a win here would push Stu further out of playoffs and would help my own chances of making playoffs. So that's why this is super important. But if anything, I have the best differential of the 5-win teams right now, so I'd really like to not get smashed and save that differential so that I can remain in the playoff hunt, even if it requires a win from me in Week 12. I would prefer to have a win in Week 12 with the most differential possible. So that is going to be for me. Hopefully you guys enjoyed, and I'll catch you guys for the match.